started manufacturing dump trailers in the mid-80s. I'm not exactly sure on the exact date, but it was mid-80s to help grow our line and help the farmer with their everyday tasks. This week we're on the dump trailer line, and we're starting here in Bay 1. So this is predominantly for tacking and some welding to the assembly before it goes up onto the line. So we have a dedicated man. All he does is he makes bottom chassis and then the top chassis that go up onto the line. With this, the cross beams are all robotically welded. So the drawbar box and the ram boxes are all robotically welded. The beams are put in, C-channel beam, plated up to strengthen the full length of the chassis. This can then go up to the line. It can either be for tandem springs or it could be for a rock and bogie going into this particular trailer. So these parts here, these are weight transfers for the dump trailers. So these parts will go up to the line also. So when they're fitting the axles, they fit the weight transfers for when the trailer tips, the weight transfer rams come on to put the weight back onto the back of the tractor, because you have to keep a constant weight on the back of the tractor. Legislation now states that a trailer when it's tipping must have weight transfer, automatic weight transfer built in. Right, so we moved up into the next bay here. This is bay 2 on the dump trailer line. So the chassis are brought up here and they're welded completely solid. So all the parts you've seen tacked on down below, when it comes up to this part, it's fully seam welded the whole way around. So in the 4 orientations. So as normal, 90 degrees, 180, 270, back around to 360, and then it moves down the line. It's like everything, it's sort of an evolution. Like our standard trailer, as I said when we started, was 6 ton, then 8, then 10, then 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 25. So the trailers are growing in size, so the lines had to get longer with it. Now we're making the 300 series, this specific trailer, we're making it from the mid-90s, the 300 series. It's down to a fine art. So essentially there's one trailer comes off this line every day. Every production day there's at least one trailer comes off the line. Now at the height of production, 2007, 2008, before the crash, both sides of the shed were running and they were doing 16 trailers a week. So this is the fitting of the axles. So in this case it's rock and bogie, again, 300 by 90 brake on this rock and bogie 14 ton dump trailer. So they fit the side plates, the bogie pins, the rock and bogies, which are all stacked just behind you here. They put them on and then they fit the drawbars in. So all the work on the bottom of the trailer is done in this bay. When it leaves this bay, it turns through 180 degrees and then we start building the trailer up from there. As tractors have got bigger, speeds have increased up to 60 kilometers per hour. A lot more going tandem springs, load sensing, air brakes. So you can't do load sensing on a rocking beam because the beam rocks back and forwards too much. When you go to the tandem springs, you can put your load sensing in, so it knows the weight of the material in the trailer, and it'll apply the brakes accordingly. So if it's fully loaded, it'll put the brakes on 100%. If it's running empty, it might only put the brakes on 40%. So it stops you locking up your wheels and trailing them down the road and flat spotting your cars. And we have set on our top chassis here now, starting to build the trailer up. So as you see, the usual the skew tail on the 300 series, we started to build it up. So set it in, we put the braces in, weld them in, the hinge points at the back, and then we start to lay the floor runners on. Tank brackets are already fitted in there into the frame, and the brackets are on the axles already for the the brakes. It's one trailer a day, so it moves the bay every day. So you're looking at roughly 8.5 hours per day or per shift on the line. Every workshop has a supervisor, and the workshop supervisor in here is Ryan. Ryan has come through the wars here as well. He used to work on the tanker line himself, fitting out, and then he progressed into supervisory role. So Ryan looks after the tanker line and the dump trailer line. This is our 5th section here now we're into. As you can see, the trailer's starting to resemble a dump trailer that you might recognise slightly more. Again, the magic rear door's on, the tipping points are in intact. All the box section runners are in across the bottom of the trailer, and the floor is mounted into the trailer. So then the next stage from this onto this here will be the sides will be started to fit it around the trailer. So you have your 2 sides, your front side, and then your quarter panels at the rear. The tail doors come from sub-assembly, so that's another sub-assembly that's they're tacked up, they're sent to the robot welds them up, and they come up to the line in batches. So there's batches of tail doors here sitting waiting to go to the line on top of top chassis sitting waiting to go to the line. So you like to have all the parts associated with the trailers beside the line. Robots as part of any operation, it's becoming more and more important. It's speed, it's consistency, it's releasing good men from doing that repetitive task, the part that they make over and over and over again. It's releasing him to do jobs that the robot can't do. So tacking components together, difficult components, one-off specials, it's leaving him more to that, or larger assemblies, it's freeing up time for that there, so you don't need as many small bays to make parts up to feed the line. Again, we're getting down into the sharp end of the dump trailers. It's starting to take on more of that traditional shape that everyone knows. So the sides have been put on, the floor's been welded in, the quarter panels are fitted, the rear bars are fitted, bulge bars have been tacked on as well. So this trailer is ready to move to the final stage of the line, which is welding solid and welding underneath. So as you come down, there's less and less, there's less and less parts go on, but more and more welding required. So if you take the welding to the floor, so I'm not sure on the length, you have a full length weld across the bottom, full length weld around the top, across the back. The inside of the bulge bars welded completely round from one corner, completely round to the next corner, and the corner posts are welded in as well. Ryan will follow the machine through at every single point, but at the last stage, before it goes in the paint, Ryan goes round it and checks it, just looking for bad welds, splatter on the machines, just checking to make sure all the parts are put on. Then he signs the PDA off to say that machine's it's ready and fit to move to paint. And then once it goes to paint, it's the same process. The guys come in, they do the paint process on it, and before it goes out, they have their checks done as well. Then it goes out. So at every stage, it's signed off to say, we finished with it, it's now on to you. We have sold thousands of these trailers, thousands of them, and that's what people like. It doesn't matter how high they heap the load, it doesn't matter if they put tar in it, turf in it, soil, roots, trees, whatever, cars. If the tail door's up, when they tip it, the tail door comes down and everything comes out. There's nothing catching on your tail door, there's nothing twisting your tail door. It's just simple. Again, one of the options that was very popular for these trailers is Hardox. Other wear materials are available. We predominantly stick with Hardox, and we are approved with Hardox to fit it in our trailers. Hardox is a wear material. It's a high strength wear material, and the idea behind it is you have a high strength, flexible material that is approximately 3 times stronger than mild steel. Now these trailers that you're putting 6mm Hardox sides in, 8mm Hardox sides in, they're going to last a lifetime. There's no way you'll wear a side out of that, no way. And if you do wear a side out of it, I'll eat my hat. It's belts and braces, it's the same with the floor. It's an 8mm floor, guys want an 8mm Hardox floor in it. It's definitely belt and braces, very, very much so. So again, a lot of the chassis components, the long sections, they've all been through the section blaster beforehand. For the sheer volume of dump trailers that we produce, it would be very difficult for us to shot blast them all. So we looked into alternative processes, and we've come up with a wash process, which I'll not go into details of, that gives the same salt spray resistance as shot blasting. So we have a special wash process that goes on here. The trailers are washed and then they're rolled into the paint booth where they're dried off and then the paint's applied. But again, it's in the same process. It's one trailer a day comes down through here. One trailer a day, one trailer a day. Our paint suppliers are told us 72 hours for pot life on the undercoat, so more or less we can paint it and leave it 72 hours before we put the top coat on. We will never leave undercoat more than 12 hours before we top coat it, and we don't stray from that because paint has been an issue in the past, but we work very, very hard to keep our paint processes in line and everything right, so it's done the same every single time, so you're getting that consistency, so you know if there's anything changes in any of the numbers that we have written on our birth certificate. So if we notice anomalies in that, we know that there's a problem with the paint and we try to foresee that and fix it before it goes out to the customer. So we don't like to mess with the paint process. Our paint process now is much more robust than it has been in the past. So depending on the workload or the lead time on the trailers, they can either come directly down from the paint shop down here straight into fitting out, or occasionally they will go out into our yard to be scheduled to come back in for fitting out. So the trailer we'll have here is a 320, so it's a 20-ton 300 series dump trailer. This is spec'd out in a customer specific RAL code. I'm sure you'll all have seen lots of these trailers leaving our factory for Morton's. So it's a Hardox body with 710 wheels. Some of the other slight differences, again, back to our hitches. Again, there's another variation of a hitch. It's a Muller hitch, but it's actually classed as a Canadian. In Canada, there seem to be a lot of trailers and drawbars. So as opposed to a pickup hitch, they just put it on a drawbar. Old-fashioned drawbar on the back of the tractor. This is essentially the finished variation of the trailer on our left here that we're speaking about. The hydraulic tipping on this trailer, it's a three-quarter inch hose, so it's 3/4 feed direct from the rams right back to the tractor. And then your limiting factor here is your 1/2 inch probe. I think I told you previously that you can put 2 probes on, which will actually increase the speed that the trailer will drop at, because everybody wants their trailer to come down as quick as possible. And it goes back to the question, single ram versus twin ram. I like the twin ram because I think it's more stable, because you're pushing on the 2 sides of the trailer evenly, whereas with your single pot, you're pushing straight up through the middle. So there's more room for play, side to side in the trailer. I like the 2 rams. Oil rating wise, between a single pot ram and 2 single rams, there's not a lot of difference. We're only talking maybe 1 or 2, 3 litres a difference in oil. The difference will be the size of the outlet coming out of the single pot ram back to your tractor. Now, you can do it, there's 3 ways. There's the traditional way, 1 probe in, 1 probe down. We have done electric systems that have a bypass, so you have 1 hose to tip, and then you have a bypass valve which returns the oil straight back to tank. So the trailer comes down much quicker because there's no restrictions on the line being fed through the probe. It just goes straight back into tank. And then the third option is the twin spools. So you have 2 1/2 inch spools feeding off your 3/4 line, reducing the restriction into the back of your tractor again. The problem with that is you have to pull the 2 levers. It's not just one function, that you'll have to push the 2 levers to do the 2 functions to let the oil free flow back to the tractor. The design process is, we take feedback from our sales team. We bring them over every couple of months to talk about new products. We ask them what their wish list is for products, which changes weekly depending on what the customer wants. But we sit down with the salesmen and we ask them what they want, and they vote on the variations that they want. We put together our basic design. Then we'll have a design review meeting where we go through the details, and then we try to limit it down, and through a process of design reviews we get down to what we think is the final trailer. We then build our prototype and we go do testing for load, ride behind the tractor. We bring the sales guys over again and let them look at it, and then the prototype will go out to be tested. So in some instances we send prototypes to Canada. The first trailer goes to Canada. In other instances the first trailer stays within Northern Ireland or within the UK, and then it just grows from there. But we like to keep a window between the prototype and going to production to make sure that there's no faults or comeback with the trailers. So again, out into the yard, and yet another Canadian spec trailer. We're just catching the end of a a batch going out to Canada. So this trailer's sitting waiting to go in for PDA. It hasn't got its green sticker yet, the birth certificate's still on the trailer. And then we're back into the bread and butter. So this is the 316. So this is the 16-ton version of the dump trailer. So the Canada spec is the Hardox in my body sticker that you can see. A lot of places you'll see Hardox in my body stickers on machines, but for it to be a genuine Hardox in my body sticker, there's numbers on it and a barcode, and that references it to this trailer, or to the trailer and the design of the trailer, that Hardox have approved the design in the trailer. So if it doesn't have the numbers on the side and the QR code, it's not a genuine Hardox in my body sticker. A lot of people don't know that. They see Hardox in my body, it's genuine yes, it's genuine Hardox in the body, but it hasn't been approved by SSAB, Swedish Steel. Whereas this has genuine Hardox in my body sticker, and it comes with the reference number and the QR code. So it verifies that it's an authentic Hardox in my body. The more traditional colour for an NC dump trailer, NC blue. So as I said, this is the 316 16-ton model. It's got the greedy boards, bolt-on stone guard, galvanised mud guards. It's on the 560 wheels Alliance. It's on tandem springs, load sensing, dual air brakes. The 16-ton isn't as popular a model as it used to be. It's very much for us 14s and 20s. So in essence, to wrap up on our 300 series dump trailer, we've been making these for upwards of 30 years. They're still by far our most popular trailer that we make, and it shows that we've been making them for 30 years, that the customers are very happy with the standard, the quality and the performance of the trailer. So if you want one, get in touch with our salesmen, our local dealers, and we'll do our best to supply as quick as we can. I'm sure you'll all be glad to hear that this is the end of the 300 series dump trailer walk around, and you will no longer have to listen to my dulcet tones.